That vision of Enoch was really amazing. The Bible shows Enoch as the seventh patriarch from Adam, born when Adam was 622 years old, or out of the garden, 622 years. This is the patriarchal line here. Adam leaving the garden or becoming mortal in the year 0 for him, called 4000 BC, or before Christ, also called BCE, or before current era. That 4,000 years before the time of Christ. So these numbers in the right-hand column get lower until you get to the birth of Jesus Christ, or the account of that in the New Testament. The numbers on the left are relative to Adam's age when these people are born. His son Seth, his grandson Enos, great-grandson Canaan, Mahalalel, Jared, and then Enoch when Adam's 622 years out of the garden, which it shows here is 3378 BC. 65 years later, Methuselah is born, and that's about when some of these visions start happening, presumably with Enoch. 240 years after that, Adam dies, more or less. So that would be when he's 930 in the year 3070 BC. Well, we're going to go to an interesting story here where the Lord visits Adam and all these patriarchs here. Seth, Enos, Canaan, Mahalalel, Jared, Enoch, and Methuselah are all named, as well as all the descendants of Adam that are righteous. Now we're going to switch to that. Now we're switching to a revelation to Joseph Smith, recorded in section 107 of the Doctrine and Covenants. Here we have the ordination to the priesthood of the various patriarchs we just looked at. Here's where we get to Enoch. It says Enoch was 25 years old when he was ordained under the hand of Adam. And when he was 65, and Adam blessed him. And he saw the Lord, and he walked with him, and he was before his face continually. And he walked with God 365 years, making him 430 years old when he was translated, meaning he became immortal, he and everyone in the city of Zion, which is detailed in Moses chapter 7. Now, it goes on to say, 3 years previous to the death of Adam, he, Adam, called Seth, Enos, Canaan, Mahalalel, Jared, Enoch, and Methuselah, who were all high priests, with the residue, with the residue of his posterity, who were righteous, into the valley of Adam on Diamon, and there bestowed upon them his last blessing. This is Adam. And the Lord appeared unto them, and they rose up and blessed Adam, and called him Michael, the prince, the archangel. And the Lord administered comfort unto Adam, and he said unto him, I have set thee to be at the head. A multitude of nations shall come of thee, and thou art a prince over them forever. And Adam stood up in the midst of the congregation, and notwithstanding he was bowed down with age, being full of the Holy Ghost, predicted whatsoever should befall his posterity to the latest generation. These things were all written in the book of Enoch, and are to be testified of in due time. Here is section 1 of the Doctrine and Covenants, wherein Joseph Smith having a revelation speaks, or Jesus Christ is speaking through Joseph Smith as a preface to the Book of Commandments in declaring his authority in the last days through Joseph Smith, saying, Revelation through Joseph Smith at Hiram, Ohio, 1831. Hearken, O ye people of my church, saith the voice of him who dwells on high, and whose eyes are upon all men. Okay. And the voice of warning shall be unto all people by the mouths of my disciples, whom I have chosen in these last days. Behold, this is mine authority, and the authority of my servants, and my preface unto the book of my commandments, which I have given them to publish unto you, O inhabitants of the earth. That refers to the book of commandments. Some of those revelations were changed, and then what was left was put into the Doctrine and Covenants as we now have it. Apparently, Jesus said something different than they said he said in the first one. Wherefore fear and tremble, O ye people, for what I the Lord have decreed in them shall all be fulfilled. Just a few more things in here. And the anger of the Lord is kindled, and his sword is bathed in heaven, and it shall fall upon the inhabitants of the earth. They who will not hear the voice of the Lord, neither the voice of his servants, neither give heed to the words of the prophets and apostles, shall be cut off from among the people. For they have strayed from mine ordinances, and have broken mine everlasting covenant. Wherefore I, the Lord, knowing the calamity that should come upon the inhabitants of the earth, called upon my servant Joseph Smith, Jr., and spake unto him from heaven, and gave him commandments, that mine everlasting covenant might be established, that the fullness of my gospel might be proclaimed. Behold, I am God, and have spoken it. These commandments are of me, and were given unto my servants in their weakness. And after having received the record of the Nephites, yea, even my servant Joseph Smith, Jr., might have power to translate through the mercy of God, by the power of God, the Book of Mormon. And also those whom these commandments were given might have power to lay the foundation of this church, and to bring it forth out of obscurity and out of darkness, the only true and living church upon the face of the whole earth. Search these commandments, for they are true and faithful, and the prophecies and promises which are in them shall all be fulfilled. What I, the Lord, have spoken, I have spoken, and I excuse not myself. And though the heavens and the earth pass away, my word shall not pass away, but shall all be fulfilled, whether by mine own voice or the voice of my servants, it is the same. Well, these are some pretty strong claims. Whatever Joseph Smith says, it's as if the Lord said it. He is God's authority on the earth to proclaim the gospel. And let's go ahead and search these revelations. We're going to turn back now to the Book of Mormon.